Okay, a brief revisit of some of the scherzo, or the second movement of the Prokofiev Sixth Sonata. So, last time I got to the end of this chromaticism, here we are in C major, on C major. Then what? Okay, visually disorienting. I have redistributed this, but I have to read my own writing because it doesn't snap back. Oh, I've written C and B. How clear of me. Written this way, played this way. Okay. It's a third and it's a second, instead of a fifth and a fourth. To the notorious arpeggio section. So minor, these are fun. These bass utterances. And pretty consistent too. Relationships. C sharp minor, D sharp minor, go down, down, C sharp minor again, well that's nice. E minor, C major with squish with B. And I'm not using the fingering I wrote. It's okay. In the left hand helps. Just simple placement. voice that thumb any way I want. Still that's not. 4/4, interesting. There's so many things my body wants to do, but my decisions from before are overriding this. I'm just curious to know how helpful my solution is. Going downwards instead of shifting. The shift definitely gets me ready for the faster material. I think 3 instead of 4 in G sharp in measure 35 rather, is just a wee bit better because I'm going 5/4 and 3 is available. Avail myself of that grouping, which is to say, my left hand then has to play 2 notes in one group, even though the right hand is shifting its position. That's exactly so. Not hard for me to remember where my left hand goes, of all things, because it's also straight C major. But meanwhile, I've got to review. Now, it's not that hard to remember the melody either. It's finding the right chords. Since I haven't played them in a while, I've got to remember those relationships. They'll come back. Alas, I won't have any time to reinforce over the space of the next few days, so too bad for me. That's what happens. That's why I'm trying to regain some connection so that over the break that I'll be taking, that I'll be able to snap back relatively easily. It's just an unfortunate reality of one's days that even when you plan, you can't always plan for the optimal way of practicing. So I guess ideally I would have always, before a several-day break, made sure that I had sealed the deal, that the things that I had reviewed were so well reviewed that they were firmly entrenched in long-term memory. But I'm only part of the way there. Mea culpa. So many added notes. That's what keeps it very entertaining and challenging at the same time. You know, it's F major E with E. Sometimes they arpeggio sometimes do change to agree. So the C changes to F major. F major, please. So you couldn't tell from what I just did there that I have any sense of familiarity, but what in fact is happening is I'm remembering some of my mental processes that got me to here. What's not showing is any sense of physical connection with what I'm doing, other than the fact that I'm embracing the chord names, for example, that I've identified, and reminding myself of some of the shapes of things. So deep down under the surface, there's the sense that the work I did before is still there and still available. It's just that I never did reach the point, or haven't recently reinforced the fluency that I had before. And that's certainly, taking the broader view, one of the ways in which I could be more efficient in this project. Or maybe said another way, this project is all about self-exploration, discovering how learning works and how it doesn't. So I suppose in some fashion there's a success in discovering what doesn't work. So I already knew what doesn't work. It's really a question in this case of finding wilier ways of making things work. Part of that, I suppose, would be to play smaller chunks to the point of absolute retention. Not always sure that's in my best interest, because that's when you risk getting into that perfectionism mode where you say, I won't leave this little bit alone till I've really got it stuck, and then I'll move on to the next. And you need the overview. And so long as I have some sense, when I come back to these things, of recollection of what the process was and what made me feel a sense of understanding, then I think I've got somewhere. I've gotten somewhere. So let me try to remind myself. So that would be a natural place. I'm chunking, right? That full statement. So when it moves on from C to E minor to F to D minor to that E major minor hybrid. So it goes from C to G, goes from A flat, and then agrees on G. I still have a funny sense of, oh, that's because I think I had a funny sense and changed my fingering. I just couldn't bring myself to keep turning after 1, 2 to get the last 4 notes starting with 1. So I instead did a 4-note group and then 3, 5. And it worked out really well, and my notation allowed me to recall that. So again, that's a process well invoked. I like that. Returns C major, C major, excuse me, C major, away from from it, back to it. So C major and C major. Approximately C major, with added notes. Now it moves. That's right. Now the D minor, alas, no initial aspect of D minor other than two of the notes from the chord. But then here it becomes D minor. Now E major minor agrees on top, doesn't agree on the bottom, half agrees in C major here. There's not much agreement between this A minor 7 and the G major at the bottom. Finally there's a G major. So, interesting. It's just one note extension of the hand. And down. And that's different too, because the right hand shifts in position. Down to here. And then everything else is within range. Here it is. E minor. Extend. Yes. Right, I was looking, here's the E major agrees with the left hand. This augmented diminished chord, or whatever you choose to call it. Agrees and then disagrees. Correct. Oh no, not correct. Okay, something physical worth noting. This E major chord has a G sharp. The black note that the right hand goes to, this chord here, has an A flat in the bottom, which is the same thing as G sharp. So, I'm going to write a little straight line just to indicate that connection. That really is just helpful. Oh, it's very helpful. Sometimes it's a very obvious thing that you miss. Good. There it is. Thinking, but I'm thinking good thoughts. Still, interestingly enough, turning this into an A minor 7 is very easy. It's one note different. The hand swivels around to make itself comfortable down here, but it is down. So the other thing I should note to myself is the connection, the close proximity of the two thumbs, G and A. So that's good to know. Oops. So it's that connection. Think, please. Yeah. It's interesting to me that I'm not thinking very much at all about my left hand, which I've devoted a fair amount of attention to, and I think that's good because the execution of it, or the acceptance of the unevenness, the acceptance of the peculiarity of Prokofiev's writing, makes me concern myself with it less. I have a basic sense of the kinds of, what can I say, disjunct fluency, the kind of jittery fluency that I need to become accustomed to. That's starting to grow on me, that when I'm playing. And it's uneven but even within the group, but uneven between the groups. That's the way it was written. And having accepted that, it makes the gesture much easier to be supportive of other things I'm doing. So I like that. Let's go, whoops. Confident all the way through. I lost my nerve because, as is traditional with human beings, when you're close to the end and the goal is in sight, it makes you wonder until you really know. Because I was at the point of thinking, I kind of know. And kind of know is always suspect. Yes, but I knew A flat, but I didn't know what version of A flat. So it's a first inversion, and it's also unusual for the left hand because I'm playing a thumb on the A flat. Normally I wouldn't play A flat that way, but there's no advantage to using the traditional fingering for the arpeggio because it's not a traditional arpeggio. So it's not even hard. It's just unexpected. There it is. Without prejudice. The prejudice is when you think you know or you think you ought to know and you ride yourself because something doesn't work. It's a question, I think, rather of non-judgmentally saying, oh, I was uncomfortable there or I didn't know, and then doing whatever it takes as calmly as possible to do what you need to do, namely to reinforce the understanding of what the chord is or where you go or what the feeling should be. So I need to make sure. Everyone needs to make sure, but I need to make sure in this circumstance to feel exactly that way. That's the primary goal here. Grab this. It's a very comfortable chord. There's no reason not to know. Other than that I don't. Let's do that again. Whoa, I skipped. Yes. I anticipated. Very easy to do. Absolute blank. Spaces sometimes in my head. In other words, I got near the end and I realized that the last 6 chords or so were going to be good. But at that point, I wasn't sure. And it clicked into place. And then I have to remember that. That's very interesting. That, getting back to the A minor 7th there. First the E major, then this, then that. I know. There we are. Checking my time. Okay, it's about time to quit. Really? It's still not very comfortable. Notice I haven't reviewed this in the last X number of minutes. And that's why it's important to review it, because if it's not right there accessible, it needs revisiting. It needs to be revisited. And then it goes on to what I've done before. Yeah. Lots of C major, F major, yes, that's it. Okay, I'm going to stop there, but I'm always intrigued when I get somewhere as a sort of a glimpse of where I could be getting. That's good that there's little mini victories, but I'm waiting for the big victories, the ones where it all sits there and says, just use me in any manner necessary, and be comfortable, be truly comfortable, and make music in accordance with what feels right then. And of course, until all of this stuff is taken care of, then you can't feel that your language, your ability to express yourself convincingly or eloquently or whatever, or insightfully, that ability is not always there, or is minimized or reduced when your vocabulary is in any way stilted or awkward or hesitant or things like that. So a lot of this preparation is just in getting ready so all of the idiomatic flow becomes a natural part of the way you converse musically. And it will come. I have no doubt that it will be there in this piece. It's all well within my capability. It's just a question of having patience and applying myself. Same with all of you, and finding the practice time appropriate to make the reinforcements, and of plotting out the reinforcement schedule so that there's an opportunity to do what I need to do in a timely fashion. So I'll see you after a few days. Bye.